Welcome to the second session of JA Careers and Communication. For today's session, you need to have the student worksheets that have the self-assessment on the front, and then you'll notice on the back there is the problem-solving tool as well as the teamwork and collaboration. So it's a two-sided worksheet, and then you also need your packet for the team building challenge at the end. So this session is all about soft skills. So we are going to challenge the students to think about how soft skills affect them. So the first thing you want to do is just talk and define soft skills in general. So we define it as personal attributes and behaviors not tied to a specific job. And then your technical skills are the abilities and knowledge used in a specific profession. So I worked at a water park. So Fran used to always tell me, Risa, we can train someone how to make a hot dog. We can't train them how to smile. Like, which one's the tech skill? Which one is the soft skill? A lot of times you're hired for, technical skills, depending on what that career is. But sometimes you get the job because of your soft skills. And soft skills are also something that usually will help you get promoted. And sometimes it's what even creates somebody to get fired, just because personality matters as well. So the very first thing we want them to do is to take a little bit of time to actually do the soft skills assessment. So they are going to work through this worksheet. I encourage you to give them about 5 minutes, to be honest, maybe 3 to 5, depending on if they're focused, and you can kind of just tell when they're done. But the whole idea of this worksheet is that there is a soft skill listed, and then they're supposed to decide if it's a strength or a weakness, or if they're uncertain. And then from there, they're supposed to identify if they say it's a strength, to provide a specific example that they could use to showcase that strength. So, for example, if you're in an interview and somebody said, are you a good team player? You don't just say yes, but you say yes because I was on the XYZ team and XYZ, right? So, and if they don't have it as a strength, they could also write down an idea or a way that they could potentially build that soft skill. So either way, they can write in that last column. So you want to just give them a little bit of time to work through it. I always challenge them, like if they didn't get all the way done, to take it home and to continue to work on it, especially if they're going to be doing interviews or writing out scholarships, etc. Like, it can really be a good self-assessment in regard to some of the skills and things that they can work on. And it's also a really great way to tie it back to that personal brand that we talked about in the first session. So I always love to highlight one or two. I always like to focus on strengths. So I ask a volunteer student to provide a strength and the example that showcases it. And a lot of times there's one or two that would be willing to share, which is a lot of fun. From there, we're going to transition into showcasing the soft skill of problem solving. And so what you're going to want to do is have them turn their worksheets to the back. And you don't even have to write this on the board anymore because we have it printed for them, but just talk through each of these steps. So first, you want to identify the problem. Then you're going to want to identify solutions for that problem and think through the pros and the cons for each of those solutions. Then you're going to weigh those and choose the best solution and act on it. And then I always throw in that bonus step to reflect and evaluate, because again, you always get a second chance usually, right? So if you had the opportunity to be faced with the same decision in the future, would you do things differently? If somebody came and approached you and asked for your advice, what would you change or tweak for that? And again, linking it back to personal brand, if you make a choice that's maybe not the best thing that you found out later, you can always work to make it better the next time. So to showcase this one, we get to do a pick the corner activity. And what you're going to do is read a scenario with 3 different solutions, and you're going to assign a corner to each of those solutions. And then once the students move into the corner that they would choose, then you create a class dialogue from there. So I really love this one. You're going to notice that the scenario says you work at a large movie theater. A new movie is just out and everyone wants to see it. The movie is rated R, so customers must be 17 years old to get in. Students from your school come to buy their tickets from you. You know that one of them is only 15. What are you going to do? And this one is so good because it hits the core of every high schooler, right? They all want to go to a movie, etc. Like it just hits them in so many ways. So the discussion is usually really robust. You're going to notice that we've got 3 different solutions as well as some pros and cons talking points. I really encourage you to make sure that you challenge the students' thinking if they do choose the unethical choice. So there's always probably going to be people in all 3 corners usually, and I love when that happens because it's usually a great conversation, and sometimes they'll counter each other, but it's a really good conversation. So make sure that you talk a little bit about that. I also love to use that one as just an example of why, again, companies have policies. We talked about that with cell phones in the first session. Again, sometimes there is a reason why there's a policy, and it's a lot of times centered on safety, et cetera. So getting them to think about not so much how it affects you personally, but how does it affect the company as a whole? And when you're working, you're not just representing yourself, but you are representing that company at large. So that's a lot of fun. The second half of your class, you want to transition into teamwork and collaboration. So in order to do that, you're going to use the packet of information that we have for the challenge. You want to talk a little bit about teamwork. I always just kind of make a T-chart on the board, and I talk about or ask the students, what are some of the pros about teamwork and what are some of the cons of teamwork? And you're going to see some of those talking prompts in there. After that intro discussion, you're going to transition into the challenge itself. And again, you want to make sure you watch your time so that you have the opportunity to be able to carry this forward. So first of all, you're going to ask the students if they have some that are willing to be the evaluators or the judges for the soft skills portion, okay? So you're going to have a soft skill winner and a technical skill winner. And so the students are going to focus on the soft skills at happening. So you want 4 or 5 students, depending on how large your class is, to volunteer to be judges. And what they're going to do is they're going to use this little rubric, and they are not going to talk. They're not going to interact. They're just going to observe. And as the other groups are building out the challenge, they are going to record what they see. Then at the end, they're going to collaborate as judges, and they are going to decide which team actually wins the soft skills portion of the challenge. Okay. In the meantime, you are going to ask your classroom teacher if they'll be the client or the technical skill judge. And if not, you as the volunteer take on that role. But a lot of the classroom teachers will do that portion for you. Totally up to you what you want to do. So what you're going to notice is that, again, on page 12, there is the blue call out section of what you really want to make sure you're reading to the students. And so this is the premise. You're going to split the rest of the students into small groups, and each group has just formed a group of colleagues who work together at an architecture company. They just got called together by their boss, and their task is to apply soft skills, communication, conflict management, problem solving, and collaboration while solving the situation provided. At the end of the challenge, each group is going to get 30 seconds to pitch or explain their idea. So be sure to designate someone in the group to be the spokesperson. So give them the heads up on that. They get 30 seconds to pitch. It's sometimes fun, even if their structure doesn't end up really well. Some of them can recover verbally, which is fun. So what they're going to do is they're each going to get a baggie. They have 15 blue, 15 yellow cards, as well as 15 paper clips, and they have a slip in here that showcases the challenge. Basically, the challenge is that a client has just called and they want to see a demo of a skyscraper. They really want to work with your company because of the skyscraper. So we want height, but they want to derive this information. Don't tell them this. They're going to read this on their own and come up with these ideas. But we want height, we want detail, and we want creativity. Okay, so we want to try to give the students like 7 to 10-ish minutes to participate or to build their structure. Again, kind of watch your time to make sure you have time to carry it through. And so you're going to give them that allotted time, give them a heads up at the 3-minute mark, say that they've heard that the client is in the parking ramp and coming up, and then give them the 60-second to countdown, and then call it. So then you're going to allow each group to pitch their structure to you or the client if the teacher is the client. And so as you work through this, the client is going to get to decide which one won the technical skill. And again, you want those judges to be working in a side collaboration while they're doing their pitches to decide who had been working together the best with the soft skills. And you can showcase that as well. You'll notice if you've taught this in the past, we kind of switched from the grippy model to really focusing on the soft skills, but some of you know the grippy model, and we have really found even in our classes that have taught have done this, they kind of navigate toward that grippy model anyway. So you will notice that on the back of the worksheet that we have the grippy model showcased out with the goals, the roles and responsibilities, the processes, and the interpersonal relationship skills. That's a process that high performing teams use in order to be really functional. And so if that works for you, feel free to fold that in. If you don't have time or run out of time, or you just don't want to focus on that, that's okay too. It's optional this year, but it is a key component that some of you that have taught for many, many years really enjoyed. So that is really this session in a nutshell. Depending on the time that you have left, you will notice that on the bottom of page 13, we just have a variety of different questions and themes that you can talk about to wrap up your session, as well as some summary and review talking points as well. So enjoy this session. The next session is going to be all about putting these soft skills together and in the process of getting a job. See you then.